Hey guys, what's up? I'm outside the St. Pancras hotel and train station here in London, England. It's this awesome, like castle-looking kind of thing. It's super cool. I'm on my honeymoon, so I'm gonna make a pretty short video today, but it's awesome. I didn't bring any of my camera or my editing stuff either, so this is what you're getting, I guess, my phone footage. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how to make a really cool city environment for your Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Because I'm here in this like awesome city. I've got all this cool stuff going on behind me, and it's just got me thinking about, what kind of makes it interesting for a D&D adventure when you come to a new city for the first time. And so I think that you can get everything you need on like one index card that just has a few pretty key details that will differentiate cities from one another. The first one is, what's the architecture look like in the location, right? If you say the city is made out of white stone with blue roofs, right? I can picture what that looks like. You can picture what that looks like, and it's just different than you're just like, oh, you're at a town, right? Oh, you go to a castle. No, you go to a red castle with white and with gold and white decorations around it. It has a big clock tower. Okay, it makes it a little bit more interesting, and you can kind of picture what that looks like a little bit better. Another thing that is worth describing when you're talking about a town is the architecture, or not the architecture, the defenses, right? Because your heroes are warriors, they're adventurers, and they're used to getting into trouble, so they're going to pay attention to what's in the town, right? If there's 100 crossbow ballistas and they're all aimed in the same direction, that's going to tell you something about the town, rather than like you just walk in and there's no guards you have to walk past on your way into town, or there's no city walls, or something like that can give you a better idea of what kind of danger the party can expect when they get to the town. So have a little bit of architecture there, have a little bit of their defenses ready, and then have a general idea of the population, like what they're feeling like. Are they nervous? Are they happy? Are they celebrating a party? What's going on? Does everybody seem relaxed, or do they seem uptight? Does it seem like you're going to find a lot of adventuring work here, or does this kind of seem like a happy little place? So the other thing that I like to do when I create a town is to talk a little bit about the streets and stuff, right? So if you're in a big city, something that can be really hard is to run a big city in a D&D campaign where you have a problem where, like, how do you make it feel big? So there's some ways you can do that. You can just put in a couple of street names, right? If you're in this little town and there's one street and it's just the main street in town, that gives you a very different impression than if you're in a big city and you go down the Sapphire Avenue, and that's where all of like the jewelers have their high-end shops. Okay, it gives you a different feel, it helps you picture the town a little bit better. And then inside of that, I generally like to create a bar, I create a store. If there's going to be a general store or some kind of store they need to go to, it's worth it to just do one line on what the bartender or what the shopkeeper's like, who's in there. Is it the kind of town where there's two guys in there and they all know each other? Or is it the kind of town where like there's a half demon dude wandering around browsing the shelves and like nobody bats an eye, right? It gives you a very different impression of the city. And the third thing I like to do is to create something that makes it a little bit different than everything else, right? So this is an interesting looking castle here. The British Library is like 2 blocks that way. So maybe this place is a big library, or they have a temple that's famous for some reason, right? All the nuns wear red. Or, maybe it's an amusement park, right? Maybe there's a fair in town, or maybe there's basically anything, a library, right? Anything you can think of when you have in your normal town, right? You can just call that one thing out when people show up in the town. So, okay, here's what the city looks like. Here's the people that are living in it. Here's how well it's defended. And here's the general vibe of what the city's like. And here's something cool that you can do while you're there, right? All that stuff fits on a single index card. It doesn't have to be too complicated. You need like 4 lines of things, and you can take a D&D adventure set in a city and make that city feel a little bit more alive. All right, I'm gonna go back to my new wife, and I'm having an awesome time in London. I took a lot of really cool footage at the British Museum and the British Library, the Imperial War Museum, the Tower of London. So I have a lot of really cool footage that I'm going to try to use in videos in the future, and got some cool ideas for some magic items that we can come up with for future episodes. So stick with us, hang in there, and we'll be back next week with something hopefully a little bit more professional than me standing in a parking lot on my phone. All right, take it easy.